Everybody, welcome to Junkyard Theory. Today is episode number 40. We are inching closer to 50 every single day. And today we have Fred North. Any blockbuster movie within the last 2 decades has this man's name on it. And I've been trying to get him on board for a little while now. And today he's finally here. Fred, thank you so much for joining. Aibon and bonjour, mon ami.
So yes, how you go on to everybody. Very happy to be here, and we can share stories and go over some questions.
100%. Fred, talk to me a little bit about how you got into the film industry. What's the origin story like?
So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a stuntman. I didn't know it was going to be helicopters, but so I always wanted to do something adventurous, I will say. And I didn't know even that the position existed as a pilot. Basically when there's a guy, when I was in France, there's a cameraman. His name is Larry Blanford. He's a good friend of mine. He did the Top Gun movie, the first one. Amazing. Hard to beat that first one. And he called me, he was in the US, and he called me in France, and he said, I have a job in Venezuela. Would you be our pilot to do some filming? And my name was given by somebody in England by then. And then I said, sure, but by then in France, you have to understand that when somebody was renting a helicopter, the pilot was going with it. They were not paying somebody separately. And then I told him, but how that's going to work out, because the helicopter will be from Venezuela and me, I'm coming from France. He said, no, we'll pay you, separately. I said, they're going to pay me to come from France to do a movie in Venezuela? Really? They're going to do that? Yeah. Because back then, there is no way I could envision that, So he said, yeah. And then it did happen. For 3 weeks, I flew in Venezuela, Canaima and everywhere, Margarita Island and everywhere, in Venezuela. And it was amazing. And then that's when he explained to me that as a stunt film pilot, it's a position, it's a job. And then that's when I decided to become, one of them.
And you already had flight training before, so you
worked.
You worked with racing cars and capturing all of that too. So you already had some sort of an action background. And how did that translate into this?
Yes, I was doing TV work, sport events as a pilot, which is a big difference, because when you film a sport event like a Formula One race car, a boat racing, or any kind of a TV sport event, it's not too much how you shoot it. Of course, it is a little bit, but it's not you don't really to try to create an emotion of the story. What the TV network wants, it's for you to make sure you're going to capture the winner, the guy that lose, the story on the race. But it's not that much how you shoot it. If it's pretty, great, but the priority, it's not to create an emotion. So when you do movies, it's completely the opposite. You shoot it to create an emotion, to tell a story. It's not who is winning, who is losing. So I had all the background to shoot action, but I didn't understand, the process to be a film pilot is to create an emotion from the air. So that took me a little while.
And how did you come about to grasp the skills needed to pull that off, to capture emotion from the air itself? What was that process like?
So because I was doing all the rally race, all the Paris-Dakar rally and all those ones, I had the experience and the skill to be close proximity to high-speed cars. Just because, when you follow a rally, you just follow the cars at crazy speed. There's no prep. So I had the skill for that. So that did help me. When I started as a movie pilot, I had 5,000 hours of helicopters. To give you an idea, now I have 20,000, a bit more than 20,000. So more time, pass by, then you build the skill. But it took me 5 to 10 years to understand how when you shoot a car, when you film a car or anything, to not feel the helicopter shot. Okay, you don't want to see it's a helicopter shot. The audience needs to be, blending in to the story that you're filming and not say, oh, this is a helicopter shot. So it took me a while. So just, experience, working with the right people, be passionate about the job, putting my heart and soul into the job each time to make sure it's not going to be boring, make sure that I'm going to create something amazing each time,
And currently, you are one of the only 5 pilots in the world doing this particular job. And you're combining 2 unlikely skills, an eye for aerial cinematography combined with your piloting skills. So putting these 2 unlikely skills together, you get some sort of an amalgamation which not many people can actually do. So capturing, a particular scene from the sky, how does this process begin? Like, obviously you guys prep for months in advance on big stunts and everything, but do you start from the screenplay itself? Do you get the screenplay? Do you read that and then talk to the director, the action coordinator on how you're going to pull certain things off, how you're going to cover certain things? What is that particular process? What does it entail?
Yes. So yes, we get at the beginning, I usually get a phone call from the producer, and he's telling me, okay, in 6 months from now, we're going to do whatever movie. Okay. Then usually 3-4 months before the movie, they send me the script or the first draft of the script. And then when we get closer, like maybe a month before, they sent me what we call a previs. So it's a little animation, like a cartoon animation of the movie or the big sequence of the movie, the big action sequence. So then all that stuff, and they also send me storyboards. They send me the storyboards of the sequence I'm going to be doing. And then we do Zoom call with the director. I go to the location like I'm doing today, this week, to have a feeling for the location, understand the scope, understand how I'm going to be doing it. So for sure, I need to understand the story. I need to understand what's the shot before my shot and what's the shot after my shot. So there's a continuity. I need to understand if there's going to be a music or a dialogue or whatever they decide on that shot. So I can have the rhythm of the flying that match whatever they have going on in the background. I need to understand if it's a 2-second shot, 7 seconds, 15, 30, or 45, because you're not flying the same way if you have to create an emotion or tell a story if it's 2 seconds or 7, or if it's a credit, if it's 2 minutes. So they give me all that information, and then I usually suggest to the director ideas how to shoot it. Because they don't always understand what I can do. So what I need from them is they need to tell me what they need. They should not tell me how to get it. Okay, but what they need. And then I can come up with a plan how to get it. And then how can I do more to go beyond what they need and give them options.
That's really nice to hear. Like, you go above and beyond, and like you try, you prefer someone not telling you how to do your job. Like you figure that out on your own. And so you also start from the ground level, like you are doing right now. So you are on set for on location scout for Extraction 2. which hopefully is going to start shooting soon. Uh, how do you like, when you scout the location from the ground level itself, how does that contribute to, when you fly, like helping you scout out the terrain, like which angles it's going to look better from and all of that? So being on the ground, getting a feeling for what's on the ground level, how does that help?
So I mean, there's two goal when you do the scout. The first one is safety for the helicopter. I need to know where the wires are, the obstacles, the trees, the street signs, any kind of obstacles that can be on the set that we're going to be using. So I go there with my team, and then we check distances and fly path and where we should not go, where we should go, and so we do that stuff for the aviation part, because we need to do the permits. And the permits, the civil aviation permits, it's a complicated process. The goal usually is to protect the public from any incident of accident with the helicopter. So our job is to put the permits in place, a plan, the mapping and everything, presented to the civil aviation, and it is to be done correctly. So that's what the scout is also about. Then the second part is the creative part. So then when I talk to the director face to face, and he's telling me what he needs and what he wants, then with the surrounding and all the obstacles and the time, then I can tell him, it's going to be tricky to do it there, but I can do it at that other street. Or, it's going to be tricky because you want this to happen at night, and I'm not going to see a lot. So, or you put more lights, or can we do that at magic hour? Or can we do it day for night? Or it's a conversation on how we can make the sequence works out, and then it's an exchange. And then I'm trying to understand the director's vision, because those guys, they're so creative that they usually have some hard time to explain. So, and they have so much in their head. So you have to help the director to do his job. So you have to make sure you understand his vision, you understand what he's looking for without him saying it. So I call it the fishing expedition. So I go to the art director to tell me what he knows. I go to the director of photography. He's telling me what he knows. I go to the producer. He's telling me what he knows. I go to the location manager. He's telling me what he knows. I go to the production assistant. I go to everybody, and then I get all that data, and then with the storyboard, the previs, Also, I usually watch the director before 2-3 movies is done. So I understand how he moves the cameras, how he's usually cut his movies. So then I understand the guy. And then when he's going to tell me, hey, Fred, I need to shoot this or that, I said, I know exactly how to do it. So that's what the scout is about.
Gotcha. That's amazing. Like you go around and you call it the fishing expedition. You get all that information so that you identify the person's style. And is this process the same when you're working with let's say someone new that you haven't worked before? Is it the same way?
Oh yeah. When I haven't worked with somebody, I do it even more. If I work with a guy, the guy that's been working for 20 years, like Michael Bay, for example, I know his style. So I don't need to do the styling research, but I still need to do the vision that he wants for that job, for that shot. Even if I know his style, I need to understand what he needs, because Michael doesn't tell us. Michael usually says, he's going to say, this is the beginning of my movie. Don't fuck it up. And then he goes away. That's it. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's the briefing we get.
That's very Michael Bay-ish.
Don't fuck it up. So then he's like, okay, so let's go to work. Try to say, what's the scene? What's, is it the beginning of the movie? But it's fine. Michael has so much to think about. He doesn't have time necessarily to tell us all that stuff. So he's so good at what he does. He knows where to put the camera. He's insane. His vision is fantastic. One of the best. There's a reason why he's where he is. but he doesn't, he cannot, it's a hard time to communicate. So we have to do, it's not to him to explain it to us. We have to figure it out, you know.
And I read up somewhere that he had designed this very specific scene for you to shoot in Rome when he was shooting Six Underground. And you weren't necessarily available, but he called you up and he said, I designed that sequence for you to shoot it. So what was
Right.
that? Talk to me a little bit about that. Tell me that story.
So if you watch the movie, it's the last sequence where there's a penthouse in Hong Kong, and there's a swimming pool, and
Yeah.
the team is attacking that penthouse because inside there is a guy that's supposed to be the dictator brother. So anyway, that space, that penthouse, in fact, we shot it in Rome on the parking lot. They built the 2-story penthouse on the parking lot, so not on a high rise. And if you watch the movie, next to the penthouse that is supposed to be 50 stories up, like a high rise building, there is a structure, another building next to it with a dome. And it's like an art piece. And that dome, in fact, is the unfinished stadium in Rome on that parking lot. So they built a penthouse next to that dome, but it's just 20 meters up. It's super close to the ground. So they can shoot it easily instead to shoot it at 1,000 feet above the ground. So Michael had all those cranes. If you remember, there was a sniper on one of those cranes that shot at the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So all that sequence with the explosion and all the chase, the attack and everything was shot from the ground. But he wanted me to capture like if it was at 1,000 feet up on the 50 stories building. So he wanted to, and it was at night. There was cranes, there was that structure, there was the penthouse. So a lot of obstacles, a lot of complicated flying between cranes and only at like 5 meters from the ground. So he designed that sequence for me to do the usual stunt flying I do. And this is why, when he said, because they moved their dates. There was supposed to be, I don't remember, like early October. And then suddenly they moved it to 15th, the October 15th. And I told him, I said, I'm doing Star Wars in Jordan on October 15th. And we shipped a helicopter from France to Jordan for me to do the job. So I cannot go, like I have to go. I cannot not go. Because usually, Michael, you don't say no to the guy. And I said, I would love to come, but there is no way, they will kill me over there. So then he said, I designed that sequence for you. Let me talk to the actor. Let me talk to the producer. And so then he made it happen. He pushed everything around so I can be there. So the guy's super loyal. I have gratitude for that because it's nice,
Certainly is. And you worked with him on the previous Transformers movies too. I think the fourth and the fifth one. Did you work on the first three?
Yeah,
no, right?
all
Oh,
of
you
them.
did.
Yeah,
Okay, all of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Because my next question is about how do when I see Michael's his behind the scenes footage, like there's explosions everywhere there and there's gonna be that you have the Transformers in there, like, but they're not in the scene. It's all in Michael's head. How do you coordinate that, like, from the ground up? You are basically going on the y-axis, and like you have to cover everything, and there's going to be robots who are going to be filled in post-production. How do you share that same vision with him and capture what he wants to do? That's insane.
So there's the standard fishing expedition, and there's the Michael Bay fishing expedition. It's not the same fish that you get. Okay.
Okay.
So when I do the Michael Bay fishing expedition, I have to go deeper because I need to understand, like, the robots, where they're going to be, the size of them, because Bumblebee is about 6 meters up, but others are 20 meters up. So the frame is different if you look up to the head of the robot or if you know the scale. So we need to understand where the robot's going to be and where. So we go to the visual effect producer and director, which is different people, and then they show us the animation of that sequence. Then we know exactly where the robot's going to be. So what usually we do in the helicopter, we get on an iPad the frame grab, the screen, like a picture of each shot with the size of the robot and where he's going to go. Like if he goes from one building to another, he goes from left to right, he's jumping, and then we have to shoot it like an arc, like he's jumping. How fast is he jumping? So we have to understand that part. Michael is not involved in that stuff. So, and then if there is an explosion where Michael is involved, then they're going to tell us, you may have an explosion there. And then, so now we go to the special effect department, the special effect guys. And then we say, where are you prepping the explosion? We're going to prep it here. How tall is it? 60 meters. Is it debris? Is it gas? Is it powder? Is it something flying? This, no, yes, baba. So we just do our homework to understand. So when we get on the day, we're ready, you know?
It's about going above and beyond, and like even a little bit more with Michael, right? Like you have the whole chaotic mayhem on set.
Is challenging because you never know what to expect, but you know that you don't know what to expect. So you can get ready for this.
That's amazing. That's so cool. We have a question here. Hi, Fred. Your work is incredible, and it's an honor to have you on our show, which it truly is. Amongst everything you've done, one of my most favorite helicopter sequences was in Sicario, Day of the Soldado. In the final stages of the film, firstly, I was blown away by that, and secondly, what was it like working on that sequence? How much planning was involved in that?
Okay, so yeah, that movie was pretty amazing. We had those Black Hawks helicopter, the big ones, in that those sequence. So first of all, the Black Hawk team are friend of mine. They're specialists in those helicopters and everything. I flew one of them to a point, but I'm not an expert in them. So I use usually expert for it, and sometimes I fly with them. So for that sequence, the director gave us a lot of freedom to compose and make it work. He just told us that what the story was about, and he wanted to see the helicopter big in frame. But he didn't tell us how to get it, what to do, how to compose. That we do on our own. So then I kind of, directed that sequence, and then so then I had a vision of that. The cars was driving on a snaky road, and it was a complicated shot because when you have a road that doing turn, and you have a big helicopter coming into the frame, you don't want the helicopter to block the car. So it's a complicated because you have to make sure the helicopter to bring into the frame. It's not the helicopter that is going into the frame. It's me with a camera helicopter, slow down to bring him in because I need to control the picture. If I'm filming with a camera helicopter and the other one, it comes in, I'm not controlling his trajectory. So he may block the car that I'm filming. So what I do instead, the picture helicopter is flying next to me on my left. I'm filming the car. I slow down and I bring the picture helicopter, stay on the left side of the frame so I can still see the car. And then to understand that this helicopter goes towards the car, I slow down more and it looks like he's going towards the car. But he's not. He's just there. But I pull up.
Parallax.
So visually, yes. Yeah.
Right.
So that's one of the techniques. So for that particular shot on Sicario, this is what we did to make it work.
That's very smart. And I'm pretty sure you heard this question and you answered this like so many times. But with you fly helicopters, and now you have filmmaking drones coming into the whole picture. How have drones not replaced helicopters yet? I'm pretty sure you have an amazing answer, so I want to hear it.
No, I mean, people don't understand that drones are way more complicated As a film, I'm talking about filming with drones. Okay, so it's very complicated to film with a drone an action sequence, and simply because there's nobody in the drone. Okay, the people is detached. Okay, so if I was putting myself, let's say my helicopter was a drone, and I was on the ground, I guarantee you my work will be so like the quality will be bad for what I do. Because if I'm not up there and I'm not seeing and feeling the speed of the car that I'm filming, looking at the light, I've been inspired by the surrounding that is moving permanently, how could I get a magic shot? I will get a shot that has been requested by the director, but I will not get a magic shot. So the difference between drones and helicopters is basically that drones, they do a shot that has been asked to provide, to tell the story, a piece of the story. Helicopters bring the emotion, the magic moment, the action, the timing, the whoa, and that's different. So if you think that a drone can replace a helicopter and a helicopter replace a drone, it's a mistake, So only people that don't really understand what each tools is capable to do are confused about that. But when you understand what the drone can do and what a camera helicopter can do, then there is no even a confusion. I will say the overlap between the two is 10%. There's some shot the drone can do that we can do, like a straight down shot. And there's a car going through frame. A drone can do that. There's a lot of stuff a drone can do, but the drone doesn't have the depth of field, doesn't have the spatial orientation that we have. It doesn't have the flying range. It doesn't have the flying time. It doesn't have the payload. It doesn't have the people on board to create the craft. When you look at any other toys we use for filming, crane, dolly, each time a camera car, helicopter, each time the cameraman is with the camera. Okay, the drone is the only one that is detached. So you have to understand it's very difficult for the drone guys to be in the action because they're not. They're on the ground, 300 feet away. So this is why it's important for your audience to understand that it's two different tools, two different performance, two different applications, not the same results.
So essentially, you guys are creating the action while you are in the air, right?
Correct. We're not telling the action. We're creating the action. When the drone, they telling the action. Because on a film drone is pretty big. Some of them are 2 meters wide. Some of them are 1 meter wide. The little ones like this that could create action because they're small, but the camera is like a GoPro. So then those ones, sometimes they use them for 1 second shot, like a clip, because the audience not going to see the quality is bad or the lens is not good. But for a second, it's good. But those ones are very rarely used because that's what not cinematography is about. We're not doing a Red Bull event, So that's why it's different. So people sometimes get confused, but it's not the same tool.
That's a brilliant explanation, and it's lent so much insight to the difference between tools. So you don't necessarily have an operator behind the drone who's flying with it; they're on the ground. So that it makes a whole lot of sense. Like why the footage that you captured is so dynamic and visceral. And,
You're right. Yeah, because you're feeling it.
Exactly.
You're in it. So then you fly around that action. The drone is hard. The guy is detached, so he can only be a little bit further away. In fact, on the set, 99% of the time, the drone's higher than us, to give an idea.
That's true.
When people think the other way, but no, we're lower than the drone. The drone is higher, getting a scope of it, and us, we're just in the craziness.
And you guys fly so close to the ground, right? I remember that particular shot from Hobbs and Shaw. You have the Rock and Jason Statham walking towards the camera. You are essentially flying, I guess, a maximum of 10 10 to 15 meters above the two of them, and that's like pretty damn close. So how do you guys manage the risk? Because
So what we do what we call a risk assessment. We're doing an analysis of the event. So we let's say we shoot the actors, for example. So we're going to make sure that at any given point, if something happened, we can avoid them. So it looks dangerous, but it's not. That's the movie business. Now we engage them to the shot. So I will go to them like Jason and Dwayne. I will say, hey guys, I'm going to be 10 meters from you, but I will make a turn before getting to you. Are you comfortable with me doing that? And then they say, yeah or no, whatever. Usually they say yes for those two guys, but then I will say, I will make a right turn in front of you. So I'm telling them, if anything happened, jump to the left, for example, so they know which way I'm going to go, which way they should go. And we try to minimize the risk, because when you do a risk assessment, it's very dangerous if you do it for 5 minutes without stopping. But if you do 3 seconds, then suddenly the risk is minimal. So this is what we try to do to minimize the risk.
And I mean, this essentially comes into play quite a lot when it comes to what you call car chase sequences, which you've been a part of in the Fast franchise, including Hobbs and Shaw, like the entire Fast and the Furious franchise. You've been involved in this, and what goes into designing those crazy sequences, man? Like, I mean, it started out as a racing franchise, but then moved into the heist and the action genre, and now it's going even crazier, where I can't even figure out what the genre is. But it must be really amazing to go up there and shoot all of these scenes, especially like in the previous movie where you guys were in Iceland, and they were essentially there was this action scene on ice and such harsh conditions. What goes into creating scenes like this?
I mean, first of all, what happened with the Fast and Furious is more they go into it, more action they want. So and then they can see what has been shot and how, and it's giving idea to the writers to keep, rising the bar and try to get more action and less CG. So less computer graphic, more real stuff, real action. So I guess we contribute a little bit on that, because we try to create and film the action in an amazing way, so the audience is like on their seats, but also the director and also everybody. So it's a teamwork. The writers start to put something on paper that may look completely crazy, then the director put it into an image. And on Fast and Furious, they've been using the same stunt teams, same guys, including myself, part of the team, to capture all that action craziness. So the first unit director does all the actors' scenes, and us, with the second unit director, we do all the craziness to respect the first unit director's vision, but the stunt are the one that create that or the speed and the energy of the action. So those stunt guys, it's like a family on Fast and Furious. It's about 60 people, and we all part in one family. And I'm not kidding. Everybody knows each other. We all understand what the other stunt does, how, and what we do. We prep a lot. What we do before each sequence, the directors sit on the ground close to where the scene is going to happen, and he takes little toys, little cars, little helicopters, little drones, little this, little that, and then he's designing the sequence in front of the 65 people. We're looking at him on the ground. He's sitting on the floor and he's doing his little thing, and everybody ask questions, participate. Okay, Fred, where are you going to be when the explosion goes off? Okay, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be this movement. Okay, and then the car is going to jump. Where is going to be the other one? And then we all basically divide that sequence with the little toys. So it's a visual, a clear visual of the action before we do it. And that helped us a lot, because then when we go into the action, we know exactly who is going to do what and when, So, and because we know each other, the trust level is high. Then I can expose myself more, because I know that the guy doing the explosion, he knows me very well. He knows my wife. He knows my kids. He knows my dog. You know what I mean? So when he pushed the button, it's a friendship thing. He's not gonna, you know what I mean? So he can do it in a more risky way and a safer at the same time, because we know each other. So, so then, and that's how the Fast and Furious works. It's the only one with Michael Bay that does that, where it's the same family from one job, one movie to another. And I think the movie reflect that, because the action is crazy from one to another and it works out, So that's how we do it.
And the whole family theme extends just beyond the film itself. It extends to the film crew.
Yeah, yeah, it does. But we do party together, we know each other really well, so it's nice,
That's amazing. So when you have everything meticulously planned out months in advance, so when you go on set, are there any instances where you're like, all right, what we planned doesn't really work out today, maybe with the weather conditions, maybe with I don't know, some other factors playing in? Do you improvise on set?
So usually I would say 95% is good and 5% is a little bit this. Now, we all know in life it's very easy to go to 90%, and usually it's very difficult to get the last 10. So it's the same for us. It's 95% is good. The last 5 can fuck the whole thing up. So I'm very careful with those 5%. So usually it's more, they changed a little bit of they cannot change the action because there's too many moving parts, but they may change the action of one particular action because the actor is supposed to say something different, and by the time we prep the action, the writers change a little bit of something, so we all have to adapt a little bit to a point. But as long as the key stuff, like the big explosions, if there's cars dropping out the sky or from the building, as long as the big piece don't change around, it can change a little bit. So what we do just before we do it, so I'm talking about 20 minutes before, we do what we call a safety briefing. So the 300 people gather together and we go through the action again and what the last thing changed. I can give you a little example. For example, if we do a night sequence and we're shooting on a street in the city, and they usually put those cranes that are 10 meters to 15 meters high with lights on top of it, looking down to the street. And me, I'm flying under. What happened is usually those lights, the cable that powered them goes attached to the crane, to the generator on the bottom. Sometime they forget, and that cable hanging, and then hang 10 meters and then goes to the generator. Because those cables are usually black at night, black on black, you don't see them. So we'll do a last walkthrough, and my team will make sure, it's just an example, but make sure that those cables are attached to the crane. So when we're going to be flying, we're not going to be touching those cables and have an accident. So those things we'll address them just before we go. So that's about those 5%,
Have you had any major accidents on set and you later learn from them? Like you always learn from accidents and mistakes, but
no, I never had an accident on set or any time. I never had a helicopter crash. I'm trying and put my best effort to avoid it because it's usually not a good outcome in my job. So that's why we do all the prep and all the effort to make a safe operation, because the studio and all of us, we have to do 10 times the stunt, not one. So all the studios, the producers, the safety department ask the stunt, the creative team, everything we do has to be safe. So we
True.
don't take a chance. So, and we need to do it 10 times, 20 times, 40 times sometime. So you cannot do something risky, 20 times if it's not safe. So we have to make it safe for everybody. Even if we push the envelope, if we push the risk, but it's in a control environment. We control the risk. It's not like you jump from a rock and you'll see what's happened. No, we control the risk.
So every single time, do you fly your own helicopter? Or do you like lease helicopters from other parts of the world, depending on where
So
you guys are shooting?
yeah, so if it's inside the US, I usually fly my own. I have a special truck that is a custom air ride suspension truck, and my helicopter goes in it, and then it goes all over the US. I
Nice.
like to have my own machine and my equipment, so the truck goes and I have fuel and everything is there. When I go outside of the US, I usually have we lease the helicopter, but I always go to the people I know. Like in Argentina, I've been working with the same guy for 20 years. In Colombia, same. Japan, same. Europe, same. South Africa, same. So I have guys that I've been working with for a long time all around the world. So that's how it works.
That's cool. And what about innovating your own equipment? Because you have a custom built camera rig as well. So you are constantly on the cutting edge of technology and at the cutting edge of your own game as well, because you are constantly, raising the bar with every single production that you guys do. You have your own team. What goes into the whole the innovation side of things?
So, as a man, even if you have skill, you're nobody if you don't have the right equipment. So you need the right equipment. So that's why the helicopter I use as a state of the art, powerful, maneuverability, reliability, and it's only one machine I use. The camera system is the same. The camera system has to handle the craziness of the flying we do. So that's why we were part of the design and the manufacturing of the system that I'm using. It was a lot of effort. And so the team that I'm working with, the cameraman, the director of photography, the people that in my team, we work together, design all the components. So they brought the camera side and I brought the flying side and other guys with us. So we did the perfect system. 6 axes, no speed limitation. To give you an example, there's a lot of system that when you hover, and the camera is on the nose of the helicopter, is limited to 22 degrees looking up. And that's a problem because if you're on a helicopter and you're on a hover and you need to follow cars and you need to dive down quickly to go to the car, but at the same time you want to be filming up, the 22 degrees are in 2 seconds is you have it. So then the frame will do boom, which is not possible. So the system we design have a bigger range. So even if I put the helicopter like this, the camera is still okay looking up. It's just an example, but there's plenty stuff like that the camera system needs to have to follow our madness in the air and get a very steady image. So this is why we need to be involved. So it's like a Formula One driver, a race car driver that is working with his team, the engineers, to build the perfect car. So it's the same for us. We don't do it for the helicopter because those guys are more smarter than us, but we do it for the camera, system. Yeah.
Is there any occasion where you rejected to do something for the sake of safety?
Only once in my career, but I cannot talk too much about it because I've been let down by the studio. They wanted to do something, and I refused to do it. And then the studio didn't back me up. So yes, once I got fired on the show because I didn't believe in the safety of the filming they wanted to do. I'm not going to put any names, but the studio didn't back me up. So it only happened once. I will say otherwise, in my entire career and all the movies I've been doing, people are supportive. They really, everybody wants safety. And, the director understand. The thing with the director, what you need to comprehend is you don't say no to the director. You offer another solution. Okay, because otherwise, how is he going to do the movie? So if he's asking you to do something crazy, it's not because he wants you to do something crazy. It's because he needs that shot. So what you need to understand is what is that shot about, and offer to the director. You need to offer the director another way to get the shot that is not as crazy. So you never say no. You offer an alternative. And then it's all good.
Nice. And for the most part, when you are dealing with aerial cinematography, you're working with available light. It's, sometimes I guess you have, artificial lighting on set and all of that, but with all the dynamic shots that you have, do you sometimes maybe fix lights onto the helicopter itself to facilitate the cinematography of the shot, or is it like always 100% available light?
No, so during the day, we only use natural light. At night, that's when we use, created light. So at night, they always lit up the set from the outside. So they were going to put lights, on cranes and stuff. On the helicopter, the only reason we will put light on the helicopter, if sometimes we have to put the light to lit up the actor, but it's supposed to be from a helicopter. Like visually you're going to see, because it's a scope, a beam going to the person or to the car, but it's a round white light. So you're going to know it's from a helicopter. So it has to be in the story.
Gotcha.
Or it has to be, sometimes they're asking us to put lights on the helicopter because we're playing an alien ship. So they don't want to see the shape of us at night. So we're going to put a lot of lights on the machine, and then it looks like it's a spaceship, But again, it's in the story. We don't do it for photography purposes.
Fair enough. Talk to me, a little bit about your world record. So you flew a helicopter to an altitude that had never been done before. And helicopters are not meant to fly to 42,500 feet,
No,
right?
they're not meant to do that at all.
What craziness led you to try this out and succeed?
So I'm going to try to make a long story short. So look, in life, so I did that 20 years ago. So, I was around 40 years old, and I was in place in life where I was not like a bit boring, but it was like, I need to challenge myself. Okay. So, because if you don't challenge yourself, there is no, like, you're not going to go up the ladder. You're not going to get more about life.
You're not going to grow, essentially.
You're not going to grow as a person. So you need to challenge yourself. So anyway, I decided to go that direction. I could have gone another direction, but I was doing movies in France, and all that was good, no problem. But it was a little bit of cruising, and I don't like cruising. Okay. So then I think, okay, what can I do? Then landing on the highest mountains, it was a nightmare for me to organize as a person, because it's between China and Nepal, and they fight on the who owns the damn Everest, and I didn't want to be in between that politic nonsense. and unless France will step in and help me, which they don't, I figured, forget that. I'm going to go the highest I can go, because that doesn't belong to anyone. So for 2 years, I prepped the event. It was complicated because you're not supposed to go above 18,000 feet for those type of helicopter. And you're not supposed to go above 18,000 feet if you fly visual. If you fly instruments, like an airline, you can go, pretty high, like 50,000. But if you're flying visually, you're not legally permitted to go above 18,000. So there was a lot of regulation to get permission. So a lot of countries said no, 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 no. The only country that said yes was South Africa, and this is one of the reasons I did it over there. But the other reason that I wanted to do something like this is also to fight the scareness of it. Like I was afraid to do it, and I'm thinking, as a man, right? If you fight you want to be brave. Like, how can I do something that I don't want to do as a man? Like, how I handle that emotion, how I handle, the myself to succeed, to fight my fear. So it was all that stuff, to give me confidence in life, to give me confidence that if you want something, you can get it. Anything it is, it doesn't have, there's no limit to that. Everybody has a threshold, though. And my threshold, I didn't know what it was, and I wanted to push the limit. So this is why I did this. So for 2 years, I prepped. It was complicated to find the equipment and everything. It's when you go so high and there's no, the helicopter cabin is not pressurized like an airplane. It's too complex to do that. So you need a counter pressure jacket that will avoid the air in your lungs to expand when you're very high. So you need a counter pressure jacket to push in, basically. And then you need a oxygen system because there is not enough air to breathe. So you need systems. To get those systems are very difficult. It's very difficult to get because you cannot buy to a shop and buy them. You have to find them. So I bought my counter pressure jacket in Russia. Don't ask me how. I'm not going to say it. I got it from them. And then the oxygen system, I got it from South Africa. So it was complicated. And then the guy that did the previous record, a super nice guy, helped me a lot to explain me what to expect because he did it once. So all that stuff, 2 years, a lot of money. I found a sponsor that paid half of it. The other half was from me. So not a lot of money. It was South Africa. You have to bring people. So it was complicated. So on the day, it was an hour and a half. A lot of things happened on the way up. I almost passed out, almost died twice. So it was not that great. And then when I was up there, and my wife was on the ground, by the way, with all my friends. So when I was all the way to the top, the engine stopped. So for you to understand, it took me an hour and a half to go to 42,500 feet. It took me 4 minutes to go back down with no engine and restarted it at 14,000. And on the way down, there was so much wind up there. And because it's Cape Town, I was pushed above the ocean. I could not come back to land because at high altitude, the wind is stronger because there's no friction from Earth. So the wind is faster. And so I was in panic mode. I was pushed on the ocean. I was on my way down. Not good. No engine, going down, trying to restart the engine. So it was a lot of stress. So I'm explaining all this because there was a lot of stuff going on an hour and a half that I took, but I managed each problem one by one, but it took a lot of me. So what happened is when I was maybe 15 seconds from landing, zero fuel left. I don't even know how the engine is running, like on the liters, like 2 liters. My body started to shake from head to toes. The whole body was like that. And when I landed on the ground, I was crying for 45 minutes. I had a breakdown. I had a major breakdown. But it's funny how the brain reacts, because for the whole an hour and a half, I'm fighting everything. But then when I came to the landing, the brain, you can see I'm landing. You know what I mean? It's crazy how the body reacts to that. And then I started to shake. No way for me to control that. Okay. And when I was on the ground, They had to pull me out of the machine. I was crying. It was crazy, weak. I could not do anything. It took me 45 minutes to recover. The morality of this is, for me, that day, I did, touch my threshold, my limit. It was right there. And now I have way more respect for people that have breakdown. Because before that, I thought it was a sign of weakness. But in opposite, because when you get to your limit, it means you had to fight hard to get to that point. And you cannot judge a person for the limit he has, because you don't know what he had to do to get to that point. So this is what I learned from my world record,
That's crazy and amazing and wonderful and a whole lot of awesome at the same time. And I think there are a few photographs of you having landed, and maybe one up there from the cabin as well. I think it's all up on your site.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So this was before you ventured out into film, or was it like this was 20 years ago? You said so. It's right at the start.
It was in 2002. I was still doing film already, but more like French movies. It was more like I did a few American movies, but it was a smaller budget at the time. I was bored, so that's why.
What did Michael say when he heard about this? That you were finding ways to kill yourself?
Well, the guy, Michael, he will say, "You're fucking crazy, Frenchman," and that's it. It will move on. But it's a compliment when he says that. It's a compliment.
True.
Yes.
That is true. Wow. Man, thank you so much for sharing all of those experiences with us, Fred.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. That final part was more philosophical and related to life than filmmaking. But that is essentially what translates into the whole career side of things too.
You're right, because if you know yourself, then you can do more. It's like, and that's why there's a lot of people that want to be film pilots or that want to be pilots, and I'm always trying to tell them, a pilot is like a doctor. You can be a surgeon. You can be. There's so many different pilots that you can be. So you cannot say I want to be a pilot. It's like which one? Airline pilot, a helicopter pilot, rescue, agricultural, army pilot. It's not the same job. So I always tell them, before you tell me what you want to be, just tell me who you are. Okay, because if you are like a very organized person and you like a plan, a protocol, you like numbers, you need to know what you're going to be doing, then you should be an airline pilot. Okay, me, I'm not qualified as an airline pilot. I will fly the 747 20 meters off the ground just to have fun. They will fire me in 2 seconds. So I'm not good for that, right? But some people are, they're different, the brain, how it works. So you need to know who you are and then apply for the right job. And I think if you do that, you will excel. Because a lot of people, that they do a job, they're good at it, but they're not amazing because their personality doesn't match the profile of the job. Okay? So make sure that any jobs you want to do match your personality. And then you will excel. And for me, I think that's why my job, I'm going to have an arrogant moment for 2 seconds, but I think that's why I'm good at it, is because myself match my job. I connect with the machine. It's one. And I have that feeling for the aircraft because we won. But I can fly with some pilots. I can see it's them and the machine. It's not like this. I'm telling you, it's there. I can see there's no connection. The guy is okay, but he doesn't excel,
So for you, the helicopter, the camera, all of that, it's like an extension of your body. Like you
Correct.
are one.
You're correct. But also the way of thinking, the way I fly, I merge myself with the machine. That's why a lot of time, if and some people make joke about it, I fly with no shoes, no socks, no shoes, directly on the pedal because I want to feel the machine. It's me. It's one, and that's how I can dance in the air because it's very easy as a person to move around close to obstacles, but it's complicated with a machine if you're not with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those few lines, they say so much, and yeah, you have bragging rights to talk about that like anytime. That's crazy. And yeah, but final question: where do you see the future of this particular position that you occupy right now going in the future? Motion picture helicopter pilot.
Yes, I think when you have a craft and that craft can service creativity in our business, they're always going to need you because you're the only tool in the movie business, like I'm talking train, camera, car, that is a 3D. The drone can do that too, but like I explained before, there's nobody in it. So and if you are with the camera, it's the same thing that you are one with the machine, you're one with the camera. And when you're one with the camera, you become part of the image and then you get amazing shots. So for me, as long as you have the expertise and you excel in the making of cinematography, the business will need you. So the future is long, very long, no problem.
Amazing. And thank you so much for everything and all the best, with Extraction 2 and whatever other movies you've got lined
You're
up.
welcome. And
down the line.
Anytime I can come back, and if if the audience wants to know more specific, don't hesitate to call me. I know it was not easy to set up the meeting, but we'll make it work. We'll make
100%.
It work.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Akash.
And till then,
I don't remember, but
Aiboa.
Aiboa. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.